Shalom, students, and today we are doing a revision in the book of John, and it is chapter 19, revision part A, and we will deal with verses 1 to 22. So let us begin as usual with the chart for anyone who's still not familiar with the Nikud, all of our markings, but also I've included our resources that we use each week. And so let us begin now. And of course we're in chapter 19. We begin with verse 1, which is Az, meaning then, Lakach, he took Pilatos, Pilate, et Yahushua, ve yasarehu, and flogged him. Ba shotim, with whips. The bet can be with or in. So then we look at the translation again, for those not too sure. Then he took Pilatos, grammar marker, Yahushua, and flogged him with whips. And then we turn to Vayet, which has a value of 2, and we read Ve Saragu, and they interlaced. Anshe, which means it's a construct form, the men of Ha-Sava, the army. Teret, a crown of. Kol sim, meaning thorns. Vayasimu, and they placed, and I've added it, al upon Rosho, meaning his head. And then we look at it. And they interlaced, men of the army, a crown of thorns, and they placed it upon his head. Vaya'atuhu, and they wrapped him. Lavush, and I've added in a garment, because lavush basically means a garment, right? So therefore, in a garment, argaman, of purple. And they wrapped him in a garment of purple. And now we move to the next slide, where in verse 3, as you see, represented with a gimel, and we read it. Va yomru, and they said, Shalom, peace, leka, to you, Melech, king, and we can add of, Ha Yehudim, the Jews. Va yakuhu, and they struck him. And that comes from the ka, to strike. Al upon halachi, meaning the cheek. And the translation, and they said, peace to you, king of the Yehudim. And they struck him upon the cheek. And then we have a dalet, which has a value of 4, which means we're in verse 4. And we read, Vayetse, and he went forth. Pilatos, Pilate. Od can mean again, it can mean more, it can mean still, but in context, again is fine. Ha chutza, to the outside, with the hey at the end being directional, hey? Chutz is outside, to the outside. Vayomer, and he said, Alehem, unto them. Hinni, behold, I am. Because we can say ni means I, but it can also mean I am. Motzi, meaning bringing out. Again, the root is yatza, to go out, right? But motzi is bringing out. And we read it. And he went forth, Pilatos, again to the outside, and he said unto them, Behold, I am bringing out. And then we have Oto, meaning him. Alekem, unto you. Le'ma'an, so that. Tedu, you shall know. Because the tav at the beginning is like second person. You shall know. Ki that, lo not, matzati, I found, vo in him, kal. And if we look there, we've got avon, which means iniquity, but that's like a singular form. So kol, rather than being every, it means any iniquity. Right, now we will look at the translation. Him unto you, so that you shall know that not I found in him any iniquity. And so we move to the next page. And we're in verse 5, represented with a hey, the fifth letter of the alphabet. And then we read, the Yahushua and Yahushua, Yatsa, he came forth, because Yatsa means to go out, right? Hachutz, meaning outside. The Alayuf, and upon him, a teret, a crown. Ha-kotzim, and we could say of thorns. And the translation. And Yahushua, he came forth outside, and upon him a crown of thorns. And then we read, ul vush, and a garment, levush, ha-ar-gaman, of purple, va-yomer, and he said, Elehem, unto them. And then who said it? Pilatos, Pilate. Hine, behold, ha-adam, the man. And the translation, and a garment of purple. And he said unto them, Pilatos, behold the man. And then we read, we got a vav, which is the sixth letter of the alphabet. We're in verse 6. But he, and it was, ka'asher, like when, or like that. Like when is most suitable. Ra'uhu, they saw him. And the they can be represented from the kibbutz there. They saw him. Rashi, the heads of, with the zere under the shin, it's of, the heads of ha-kohanim, the priests, the hamsharatim, and the servants. And then the translation, and it was like when they saw him, the heads of the priests and the servants. And then we read, Va'yitz aku, and they cried out, Lemor, saying, Hatz lev, crucify, Hatz lev, crucify, Vayomer, and he said, Alehem, unto them, Pilatos, Pilate. And they cried out, saying, Crucify, crucify. And he said unto them, Pilatos. And we read, Kahu, who, you take him. Atem, you or yourselves. V'hatz li vuhu, and you crucify him. Again, the kibbutz, meaning they or you, based on the form it's in, right? And you crucify him. Ki for, anoki, I, lo not, matzati, I have found, vo in him, ash, or ashma, meaning guilt. And we read it. You take him, you yourselves, and you crucify him, for I, not I, have found in him guilt. And now we're in Zion, which has a value of 7. It's the 7th letter of the alphabet. Vaya'anu, and they answered. Ha-Yehudim, meaning the Yehudim, the Jews. Vayomru, and they said. Torah, a law. Yesh lanu, there is for us. The al-pi, and by or upon the mouth. Toratenu, of our law. And they answered, the Yehudim, and they said, a law there is for us, and by the mouth of our law. And then we read, Chayav, Mita, liable to die. Who he is. Ki for asa, he made, because asa can be to do or to make, he made. Atzmo, meaning himself. Ben, meaning son of Elohim. Liable to die, he is, for he made himself the son of Elohim. And then we have verse with a chet there, which is 8, and it is Vehi, and it was Kish Moa, when he heard Pilatos, Pilate, et, grammar marker, Hadavar the word, Hazeh this, Var Yosef, he continued, because Yosef can mean to add, to continue, same thing. He continued, le-ro, to fear, because we know Yara means fear, to fear. Od, meaning more or still. And the translation, and it was, when he heard Pilatos, grammar mark of the word, this, he continued to fear more. And we're in Tet, and Tet has a value of 9. Vayashav, and he returned. Vayavo, and he came. El to Beit, the house, ha-mishpat, of judgment, or of the judgment. Vayomer, and he said, El to Yahushua, and he returned, and he came to the house of judgment. And he said to Yahushua, and then we read, Me'ayin, from where? Now, Ma'ayin, when we look at it, ayin only means not, so it's like from not, but often translated Me'ayin meaning where. So we'll just translate it from where. Ata, you are. Velo, and not. He, she, vo, and not he returned. If we look at it, shiv is to return. Yahushua, davar, a word. And the translation, from where you are, and not he returned, Yahushua, a word. And then we have a yod, which has a value of 10. Vayomer, and he said, Eliav, unto him, Pilatos, Pilate, Eli, to me, to me, lo not, te daber, you do speak. How low, and that's a questioning, hey, so it's do not, yadata, you know. And he said unto him, Pilatos, to me, not you do speak, do not you know. Ki, that, yesh, le'el, which means there is for two, yadi, my hand, litz lav ka, litz lav ka, to crucify you. V'yesh le'el, and there is for to yadi, my hand, l'shalechei, to send out, and we could add you. And the translation, that there is for to my hand to crucify you, and there is for to, and often that's translated for in, my hand to send out you. And then we have a yod 10 and left 1, so we're in verse 11. Vaya'an, and he answered, Yahushua, lemor, saying, lo not, haita leka, to have for you. And we notice that in that is haya, to be or to have, same thing, right? To have for you, le shut, authority, because it comes from the same root as to rule or authority, right? Alay, over me, lule, were it not. And he answered, Yahushua, saying, not to have for you authority over me, were it not. And then the bottom line, nitan leka, given to you, or was given to you. Mi le mala, from above, because mala means above, right? So it's from to above, basically, or from above. Laken, therefore, avon, the iniquity, ha masgir, and now I've got of just to help the flow of it, the one who is delivered, the one who delivered. Oti me, eleka, to you, gadol, greater, or is greater, me'avoneka, than your iniquity. And the translation, is given to you from above, therefore the iniquity of the one who delivered me to you is greater than your iniquity. Right, and we come to Yod and Ivriyth. Yod is 10, Ivriyth is 2, we're in verse 12. As then, Yavakesh, he did seek, Pilatos, Pilate, le shalecho, to send away him, with the O at the end being him. The ha-Yehudim, and the Yehudim, koru, they called out, because we know kara means to call out. And so then he did seek Pilatos to send away him, and the Yehudim, they called out. Va-yom-ru, and they said, if te shalach, you send away, and that's the tav telling you send away, et ze, grammar marker this, enka, not you, o have love, le Caesar, meaning to Caesar or Caesar. And they said, if you send away, which is like to release, grammar marker this, not you have love to Caesar. Key 4, kol. Now again, kol ha-o-se, meaning the one making, right? So, and then kol can be, instead of all, it can be any making, Otzmo himself, Melech king, more red is rebelling. Bet Kesar, and bet can be also against Kesar. Who? He. So for any making himself king is rebelling against Kesar, Caesar, he. And we're into Yod Gimel, which is 13. Vehi, and it was. Kish Moa, like or when he heard. Pilatos, Pilate, et, grammar marker, hadavar, the word, hazedes, hotzi, he brought out, with the ho in the front, it's he brought out, et, grammar marker, Yehoshua, and the translation. And it was when he heard Pilatos, grammar marker, the word, this, he brought out, grammar marker, Yehoshua. Vayeshev, and he sat, al upon kiseh, which is often translated the seat of, but it also can mean the throne of. Hamishpat, meaning the judgment, or the throne of the judgment. Bamakom, in the place, ha-nikra, the one called, because it's a nifel, so it's the one called, it's already completed action. Ritzpa, meaning pavement, the one called literally the pavement, right? And the translation, and he sat upon the seat of the judgment, in the place, the one called pavement. Uvil Shonam, and in, that's a Vayet, Leshon, their tongue. Right, so we have the word for Leshon, which is tongue, right? And in their tongue, Gabeta, which is the name. And in their tongue, Gabata. So we move to the next, and we're now in Yod Dalet, which automatically we should recognize as 14, Yod 10, Dalet 4. The Ha'et and the time, Erev of the eve, because Erev is eve, Pesach of Pesach. The Sha'ah, and like the hour. Ha-shi-shit, the 6th. Va-yomer, and he said, El to ha-Yehudim, the Yehudim. And the time of the eve of Pesach, and like the hour, the 6th. And he said to the Yehudim. And then we have, Hine, behold, Mal Kekem, your king. The hem, and they, Za'aku, and they called out, or cried out actually. Za'ak is to cry out, and they cried out, Tul, take, Selov, crucify, Oto, him. And therefore, behold your king, and they cried out, is more accurate. Take, crucify him. And then we have a tet, value of 9, vav, value of 6. 9 and 6 is 15, we're in 15. Vayomer, and he said, Alehem, unto them, Pilatos, Pilate, ha-salov, should crucify. The reason I've put should there is because the hey in front is like a questioning A. Should crucify. So literally it's like, should I crucify, right? But there's no I there. So it should crucify, which is, we now see that we're using two words in a row, which is make it more imperative. Should crucify et lov, I crucify. Et grammar Malkeichem, your king. And he said unto them, Pilatos, should I crucify grammar your king? Vaya'anu, and they answered, Rashe, meaning the heads of, because it's a construct form, Ha-Kohanim, the priests, Ein not lanu, for us, Melech, a king, Ki-im, so together that means but, Ki-im, Kesar, which means Caesar. And they answered, the heads of the priests, not for us, a king, but Caesar. And then we have a Tet and a Zion, which is 9, and 7, which is 16. As then, Mesaro, he handed over him, meaning Masar is to deliver or hand over, right? Handed over him. Elehem, unto them. Le Salev, to cause to be crucified. The Hifeld is a causative, to be crucified. Vayikhu, and they took, because we know kach means to take. Et grammar marker, Yahushua, vayolikuhu, and they led him away. That also means to force to be led away, right? To drive him away, literally. And they drove him away, we could say, more accurately. Then he handed over him unto them to be crucified, and they took grammar marker Yahushua, and they forcibly led him away. And then we have a Yod and a Zion, which is 10 and 7, we're in 17. Va Yisa. And we know it comes from Nasa, meaning to lift up or to carry, right? And he carried et grammar marker Seluvo, meaning his crucifixion. Seluvo. Va Yetse. And he went out et el to Ha-Makom, the place, Ha-Nikra, the one called, because it's a nifeld, the one that was called, you could say, was called even. And he carried, grammar marker, his crucifixion, and they went out to the place, the one called. Mekom, meaning the place, and we'll just add of, Ha-Gul-Golet, meaning the skull. U-Vil Shonam, and in their tongue. Gal-Gal-Ta, Gal-Gal-Ta. The place of the skull, and in their tongue. Gol-Gal-Ta. So that can be gol because the kamatz, when it's in the first syllable and it's a closed syllable, it can be an O. So it's Gol-Gal-Ta. And then we come to 18, which is represented with the Yod 10, Chet 8. Va Yit Levu, we'll say that again. Vayitz levu. And they crucified. Oto him. Shema there. Ushne, and two anashim men. Acherim, others. And that's because acher is other, but with the im at the end it's plural. Imo, with him. And they crucified him there, and two men others with him. Mize, from this, and I've added this side, echad one, u mize, and from that side, in order to give us the understanding from both sides, right? Because the same word is used there, mizeh, which could be from this, but we want to change it from that side, just so we understand. Echad, one. Vayahushua, and Yahushua, batavek, in between. And that's why we understand it's from this side and that side, by the context. And so the translation, from this side one, and from that side one, and Yahushua in between. And finally we have Yod 10, Tet 9, sorry, 19. Philatos, and of course we understand it as Pilatos, but in this case it's a fe rather than a pay, which I don't know why they change sometimes the letters like that. Katav, he wrote. Al upon luach, meaning a board, it could be a tablet, but literally it's a board. Vayasem, and he placed it, because we know that sim or sem means to place or put, and he placed, and I've added it, al upon ha-saluv, meaning the crucifixion. Al can be on or above the crucifixion. And so we translate it. And Pilatos, he wrote upon a board, and he placed it above the crucifixion. And now we come to 19b, and it is v'zeh, and this devar word, miktavo, from its inscription, because we can see it's katav in there from its writing or its inscription. Yahushua, that's what it's saying, Yahushua ha-notzri, and that's because the kamatz can also be an O sound, ha-notzri, because it's a closed syllable. Melech, meaning king, and we can add of, ha-Yehudim, the Yehudim. And therefore we get this translation. And this word, from its inscription, Yahushua, the Notzri, king of the Yehudim. And so we turn to the next line, which has a kaf, which has a value of 20. And it is V Yehudim Rabbim, also Yehudim meaning the Jews, right? Rabbim, many. Koru, again it's the kamatz rule there, Koru, they read. Now karamin can be to call out, but it can also mean to read. Et grammar marker, ha miktav, meaning the inscription. Grammar marker with the inscription. Hazed, this. Key for ha-makom, the place. And the Yehudim, many, they read, grammar marker, the inscription, this, for the place, asher, where, nitzlav sham, he was crucified there, that's sham, Yahushua, Karov, was near, because it's a completed action type, so therefore it was near. L2, Ha'ir, meaning the city, the Ha-Miktav, and the inscription. Because Katav means writing or inscription, right? Where he was crucified there, Yahushua was near to the city and the inscription. And now we're in part C of 20. Katuv was written, Ivriyth in Hebrew, Yavanit and Greek, Romit and Roman, translated mostly as Latin. And the translation was written in Hebrew and Greek and Roman. And then we have a Kaf 20, Aleph 1, Vayomru, and they said, Rashi, the heads of Kohanim, the priest, Kohanei in this case, Kohanei, meaning the priests of HaYehudim, the Jews, L2, Pilatos, Pilate, Al-Na, which means not please, Tik Tov, you shall write. And they said, the heads of the priests of the Yehudim, to Pilatos, not please, you shall write. Melech, meaning king, and we add of, HaYehudim, the Jews, Ki imbat, Ashir, that, Amar, he said, Ani, I am Melech, king of HaYehudim, the Jews. King of the Yehudim, but that he said, I am king of the Yehudim. And then we have a Kaf 20, Vayet 2, we're in 22. Vaya'an, and he answered, Pilatos, Pilate, Vayomar, and he said, Et grammar marker Ashir, what? Katavti, I have written. Katavti, I have written. And he answered, Pilatos, and he said, grammar marker, what? I've written, I've written. And that brings us to the end of our section from 1 to 22, and we just want to look again at the vowel markings to make sure we're fully aware of them. Cholam is the O sound above the letter. Shava breaks up the word into syllables. It can be a silent E sound or with an E sound. So it can be Shiva or Shava. And then we have Segol, short E sound, Zere, long E sound, Patak, short A sound, Kamat, a longer A sound, Shuruk, which is a short U sound, Kubutz, which is a longer U sound, Kataf Segol, which is the break with the Shava and followed with a E sound, and then we have Chirik, which is the I sound, Kataf Patak, which is a short A sound after the syllable break, and Kataf Kamat, which is a long sound, long A sound after the Shava. And then finally we come to our useful resources, which is beyethamashiach.com, very useful in your practice. And also the Do It in Hebrew dictionary, which is invariably important when trying to work out the meaning of the roots. Because we are dealing with the New Testament, so we don't have e-sword or a blue letter Bible. We've only got the Greek, but we're using Hebrew. And therefore we have now the Aleph is 1, Ved is 2, Gimel is 3, Dalet is 4, Hey is 5, Vav is 6, Zayin is 7, Chet is 8, Tet is 9, Yod is 10, Kaf is 20, Lamed is 30, Mem is 40, Nun is 50, Samek is 60, Ayin is 70, Fe is 80, Zadeh is 90, Kuf is 100, Resh is 200, Shin is 300, and Tav is 400, giving us the counting system. And we combine the letters with the first 9 or so, right? And so, thank you for joining us, and we do pray that these are challenging as we do revision, and that you are able to get a lot of it, right, if you've gone through the other lessons. So we just want to thank you for joining us, and we just pray these do bless you exceedingly. In Yeshua, in Yahusha, in our Savior, we give you all praise that goes to Yeshua. And may you have a blessed week. Shavua Tov. Amen.